Hello, ladies and germs. King of Kempful Folkart, Dennis Ramsey, coming at ya. When in Kempful Town, Nova Scotia, Canada, please come by the Dennis Ramsey Folkart paintings, abstract art paintings also, $50 each upwards. I live at 27 Canaan Avenue, Kempful, Apartment B, Nova Scotia, Canada. Yellow house, white trim. Apartment B is upstairs. When you're downstairs, knock on the door on the left, and I'll come down. There's only one door in. Thanks you. Anyhows, we're getting back talking about the Dartmouth Mental Hospital. I was a patient in there twice. Anyhows, the Dartmouth Hospital gave out mostly psychotic medications. Now, most of the medications were tranquilizers and shock treatments. We'll leave the shock treatment story for another time. Anyhow, I was on different drugs when I was in that hospital. Psychotic medications. Chlorpromazine was one of the drugs that I had to take. Helitol was another one. Another drug was Valium. Anyhow, most of the patients were on tranquilizers, and it calmed them down into a zombie state where they'd sit on the ward in a Johnny shirt and house coat all day long. Anyhow, if you ever seen the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that's what it was like to be in the Dartmouth Mental Hospital in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada. Anyhow, anything could happen at any given time. I've seen all the bad things in there, and bad things that happened to me too. And some of the most dangerous patients we had in there were the paranoid schizophrenics, believe it or not. Anyhow, one day I was walking down the ward hall, and right out of this blue, this paranoid schizophrenic patient attacked me. I didn't even see it coming. It happened right out of the blue. Now, first they started kicking me, then punching me and choking me. I had to fight back, of course, which I did. I fought back, but I got the worst of it because it was attack right out of the blue. I didn't even see it coming. And I was bruised up from head to toe. I had bruises and cuts on me. I got ruptured. A lot of bad things happened. I was bleeding from 3 or 4 different places. And I had to get stitched up and try to recuperate. It took about a week and a half to get right again, or 2 weeks. It was a bad beating that I took. But this was a paranoid schizophrenic person that attacked me right out of the blue. They kicked me, they punched me, they choked me, all kinds of bad things. But that shows you the danger in a mental hospital setting. You don't know what's going to happen. Anyhow, the worst injury I had, I was ruptured. And it took me, I guess, about 2 months to get right again, as far as physically. That injury lasted about 2 months long. Anyhow, in a mental hospital, there's danger waiting around the corner. You just don't know when it's going to strike. You don't know. Anyhow, what did I do when I was in the Dartmouth Mental Hospital? I did the laundry for the patients. I played pool and ping pong. I went swimming. I did some pottery. You're probably saying, what do you mean pottery? I used to make plates and cups and cookie jars. Then I'd sell them to the other patients for money so I could get some canteen. Anyhow, I was a smoker back then, and I gave the cigarettes up here about 11 years ago, which I'm glad I did. I used to smoke rollies, like I used to get drum tobacco, export A and players, and roll my own cigarettes, you know what I mean? Anyhow, I gotta say, a lot of the food that I ate in the Dartmouth Mental Hospital, it was steamed. It was food that was steamed. Now, the food overall was pretty good. You know, you got vegetables and potato and fish and meat and stuff like that. Mostly what I drank was tea and coffee, juice and pop, chocolate milk, stuff like that. They had pop machines in the hospital. If you had enough change, you could get a can of pop. Anyhow, another occasion, this great big Indian fella, he was Indian, Micmac Indian, I think, tried to choke me to death right out on the blue, and I didn't know it. They told me later he was in there for murder, but I didn't know that. And he tried to choke me to death. He had me pinned on the ground, and I couldn't get out. I was down on the ground for about 5 to 7 minutes struggling to get out. After about 7 minutes, I elbowed him in the eyeballs a few times, and I got out. Then when I got up, I took off back to my ward, laid down on the bed, and tried to recover. But you had violent people in there that were dangerous. You had people in there that would attack you right out of the blue. And prisons like that too. Prison's the same idea as a mental hospital. There's people that will attack you right out of the blue. Anyhow, the good things that I remember, I had girlfriends in the mental hospital. I had 3 or 4 of them. Those were the good things. I had good food overall. I'd say overall the food wasn't too bad. It was steamed, but it was eatable. Drank soda pop, chocolate milk. You know, you had a couple of creature comforts, chips and candy bars and stuff like that. And my job was taking the laundry to the different wards. That's what I did. Back then, you got like 30 cents an hour. It wasn't much money. It wasn't so much an idea of giving people money. It was more or less to get them to do something kind of constructive. I was painting paintings in the hospital too. That was a hobby. And I was doing the pottery and play cards sometimes and pool and ping pong to keep busy. Talk to the different patients for an hour or 2 or 3. Stuff like that to keep busy. Anyhow, when in Kempville, come by the Dennis Ramsey paintings, please. I live at 27 Canaan Avenue, Kempville. Apartment B, Nova Scotia, Canada. Yellow house, white trim. Upstairs is apartment B. 1 door in on the left. Anyhow, a lot of the patients were either bipolar, multi-personality disorder, paranoid schizophrenic, sociopaths, psychopaths. You had different sicknesses in there you were dealing with. For example, one day on my ward, Tina was her name. I won't give you her last name in case she's still alive. I won't say the last name. Her first name was Tina. She used to have a habit of cutting her wrist, and she would cut them. She'd take a spoon and sharpen it up, any object she got. She used to cut her wrist, and one day she was cutting her wrist, and all the blood was pouring on the floor. Looked like she lost about 2 quarts or something. Yeah, I'd say probably she lost about 2 quarts. And I yelled for the nurse to come sew her wrist up. And the nurse at first didn't come, so I had to holler a few times. Then the nurse come and got her and took her into a certain room there and stitched her up. But both her wrists were cut about an inch deep, and she was bleeding out. And the nurse sewed her up and got her back on her feet after a couple days, and she was okay. Y'all take care and have a fine day. Peace out. Peace out.